Welcome to Shamrock Reddit Stories, Am I the Butthole Edition, where OP spills the beans about Santa to her nephew. This one's from Bothon Pele, and it's called, Am I the Butthole for Calling My Business Partner's Wife a Butthole? I am the godfather to my business partner's daughter. She is just lovely, and we spend a stupid amount of time together. I am also very close to his wife. His wife is not time conscious, which leads to problems for everyone. She constantly complains about money, but actively works against us making it. She will get my goddaughter out of daycare because she misses her, but by 11 a.m. she will want yoga or cycling class. Now normally this wouldn't be a problem, but instead of taking her daughter back to daycare, she brings her to our office and then says that she'll be right back. Before we can protest, she is out the door. She doesn't answer her phone, and we aren't allowed to take her daughter back to daycare after she leaves, so we have a toddler in our office, which means one of us isn't working. I had had enough of this, so I bought a car seat, and the last time she did it, I took her daughter to her yoga session, walked in, and stood her in front of her mat. She jumped up and asked what was wrong. I said, "You." She then called me a selfish Richard for not wanting to help her with my goddaughter for 3 to 4 hours. I called her a butthole for taking her out of daycare in the first place. The problem here is that a lot of people's wives were in that class were calling me a butthole for not giving her a break, which doesn't make sense to me, but makes me wonder if there's something I'm not seeing. Am I the butthole? Seamus and I agree that maybe you could have handled that a little bit better, OP. You should have nipped this in the bud way before it came to the point where you felt that you had to take drastic action like you did. You should have talked to her about it after the first or second time that she did this sort of thing. From then on, you should have said no as soon as she appeared with the baby. Unless I'm missing something, like you were tied up on the phone or with a client every time she dropped the child off, it should have never come to this. This one's from Cindy Lou Hume, and it's called, Am I the Butthole for Spoiling Santa for My Nephew? My 5-year-old nephew and I are extremely close. I see him whenever I can, and I've always been very involved in his life. My sister is a big Christmas person, and she's huge on Santa. I've never agreed about lying to kids about Santa, but my sister has insisted that I more or less butt out. She said that he's her child, and it's her choice, and I've respected that. This weekend he was over for a visit, and he started to cry because he did something naughty. Ooh, naughty. He snuck some candies behind his mom's back and was terrified that Santa wasn't going to come visit this year because of it. I told him all he had to do was tell his mother about the candies and it would be all right, but he kept on talking about how Santa's always watching and he doesn't want to make Santa upset. He was in such distress that I finally just told him that Santa's not real to console him and that it's Mommy and Daddy giving him presents and Santa's just a fun story. He had some questions, but overall it seemed to have gone really well. Fast forward to that night. He's back home with my sister, and I get a call from her essentially informing me that I've been cut off from her and her family indefinitely. She screamed at me, telling me that he'd been in tears all night and that I had no business spoiling Santa for him when she expressly told me not to. When I tried to explain my side, she just shut me down, saying I should have just called her instead. She never even attempted to see why I would want to end his anxiety over this stupid lie. My nephew means everything to me, and I'm heartbroken over this. I really don't know if I'm in the wrong here. I was just looking out for him. My husband thinks I should grovel, but I don't know if that's fair either. Am I the butthole? OP has an update. My parents did some major damage control. My nephew is apparently cautiously back on board with Santa. Right now I'm just a non-believer who forgot the spirit of Christmas and needs to be brought back to the light. A role I'm more than willing to play to fix this mess if my sister will let me. She's still not talking to me, but I don't think it'll be a permanent thing. I'll continue to grovel until I'm forgiven. Well, Seamus and I agree with everyone on Reddit, and we're just simply flabbergasted that you don't think that you're the butthole in this situation. How could you not think you're the butthole after ruining Christmas for your nephew? Flabbergasted. That's what we are. This one is from I Scream 247, and it's called, Am I the Butthole for Serving a Child Without Their Parent Present? Hello. Not really a Reddit user, but my friend suggested that I post here. For context, I'm an 18-year-old female and working my first food service job. This happened yesterday, but it's still a big deal for some reason. I work at a pretty small ice cream shop, nothing special. We're right next to a restaurant, so we sometimes get customers who want to come over for dessert. I was working by myself yesterday, besides the manager, and had a kid come up to the window for a large cup of ice cream. I'm assuming the kid was about an 11-year-old girl, but I could be wrong. I never got confirmation. She was small, but she spoke well, so I just assumed she was a middle schooler or a later elementary student. She had money, so of course I served her. We get kids a lot, and I noticed parents will usually push their younger kids to order for themselves because ice cream is a pretty simple and straightforward order. Anyways, maybe 5 minutes after that, a woman marches over saying she's her mother and that I had no right to serve a young child without a parent present. Apparently, the kid had just dipped from the restaurant and gone off on her own to get some ice cream, or at least that's what I assume. I'm now guessing that she didn't have her mother's permission. The mother's demanding a refund, and I have to get my manager. Now, if the kid was noticeably like 5 years old and had no money and could barely hold a conversation, I'd understand that, but this was not the case. My manager really reamed me out for it, and I'm just so confused. Am I the butthole here? I thought this sort of stuff was normal, but this is my first food service gig, so I could be wrong. OP, you are not the butthole here. The mother is a borderline butthole for getting upset with you when she should be focusing her admonishment on her daughter. This is your first exposure to the retail public, and let this be a learning experience. By your own admission, you watch the parents encourage their children to order for themselves, so the parents must be present when they are ordering. However, it's not too unreasonable to assume that a small child has permission to order ice cream. Next time a child who you assume to be about the same age as this one orders without a parent present and you deny them, the parent will storm in a few minutes later and demand to speak to the manager because you refused her precious child service. You are in a lose-lose scenario. Just get used to it. If anyone is the butthole here, it's your manager. He should know better that there is no winning solution to this scenario. That's it for this one, folks. Until next time.